Ah. Welcome to Divine Interventions. I am Michelle Wadley, and my partner is Catherine Duca. We are here to marry psychological understanding with spiritual sensibilities, helping you to see the world through a filter of love and acceptance. We are here to blend the profound realms of spirituality and psychology to bring you a unique approach to practical happiness. Because we know that in the midst of life's challenges and struggles, you can find peace, joy, and fulfillment by harnessing the divine within and the power of the mind. It is our intention that each show will be a journey into the heart of what it means to be happy in a distracted world, a world that can often seem to be upside down. We'll share practices, insights, and actionable strategies to create a sense of peace and calm in your life so you too can discover the joy that lives within. If you're ready to become the architect of your own life, join us weekly as we travel together to the place within where love resides. Well, welcome. We just had a little bit of a false start here, people. We're a little bit late, but I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Divine Interventions. I am Michelle Wadley.
And I'm Catherine Duca.
And we are very glad you're here with us tonight. And as you know, we are here for you. We are here to marry psychological understanding with spiritual sensibilities, helping you hopefully to see a world through the filter of love and acceptance. And tonight we're bringing a subject alive. We're going to unpack and debrief something that actually was the inspiration for this particular time slot, which is 9 o'clock on Sunday nights, which is a time very often where people are beginning to look at like, oh, I got to go back to work on Monday. And they call it the Sunday Scarries. And I'll let Kathy tell you a little bit about what that really means and maybe a little bit about what people go through on this time slot of 9 o'clock. Kathy, hi.
Yes.
Hi. Good to see you.
Yes, it's great to see you, Michelle. You know, I actually have a little tiny touch of the Sunday Scarries, even as we speak. So I'll be able to draw upon that. What are the Sunday Scarries? Well, actually, a client of mine made me aware of this term a couple of years ago, and I looked into it, and it was actually coined by a TikToker by the name of the TikTok, which of course is the mecca of all learning these days. Her name is
Bite-sized wisdom.
I'm sorry?
Bite-sized wisdom.
Bite-sized wisdom in digestible bits, consumable bits. And this is no different. So a woman by the name of Marissa Jo Mays coined the term the Sunday Scarries. And interestingly, the American Psychological Association has loosely adopted the term to refer to the feeling many people have on Sunday nights as the weekend draws to a close and the start of the work week is upon them.
Right.
And it can start, typically it starts in the evening, but for some people it can start much earlier in the day as they do the countdown to the hours when they go to bed and Monday morning is dawning. So the Sunday Scarries, can range on a continuum from very mild and kind of a low level or background kind of experience to something more pronounced. Probably the bell curve of people experience the more minor type.
Right.
And what is the cause of the Sunday Scarries? Well, and by the way, it's most often used with regard to having to go to work the next day, but it's not limited to people who are employed or employed outside of the home. This
Well,
can be for stay-at-home moms who
I'm
are,
laughing right now as I'm listening to you because I realized, you know what? When I was a mother, I mean, still a mother,
you're still
but
a
when I
mother.
was an active mother, you know what? I hated setting my alarm to get the kids off to school. I don't know what it was about that, but that pressure in the morning and the lunch. So I wasn't thinking about Sunday scaries regarding work as much because I've been kind of a free agent most of my life. But the responsibility of not, taking care of things and not forgetting something, and the lunches and all of that stuff. So I bet that there's a whole bunch of people out there, moms, that probably can relate to it from that position.
Yes, yes. And it's, again, interestingly, it doesn't only pertain to people who have uh, busy schedules. I've spoken to some of my clients recently who maybe they're going through a life transition or something, and they don't have a lot going in their lives yet.
Mhm.
And so maybe
Mhm.
they're dealing with some kind of emptiness or some kind of stagnation. And the
Mhm.
weekend is a time where maybe they interact with their friends, and so they're not really concentrating on this. But come
Right, right.
Monday, oh, I'm not working, I'm not being productive, I'm alone, what am I going to do with my time? So this feeling starts to descend like a pall, like a cloud on some people Sunday nights. And it's most often experienced right in the pit of the stomach.
Right, right.
It's kind of an agitation or a kind of a pit in the stomach, you know?
Do you think that this is that an indicator, Kathy? Like if somebody is deliciously happy about what they do for a living, do you think that that changes it, or is there's still some part of that? Is there still some anxiety even when people enjoy what they do for a living?
That's an interesting question. Um, I think I think it's both. I think people who perhaps are unhappy, let's talk about work life for a second.
Hmm,
I
hmm.
think people who are unhappy definitely experience this or are certainly more prone to experience this. But people who are happy but have a lot of expectations on them, maybe they're accountable to certain people, they have to deliver the goods, um, they have a rigorous schedule, they might get caught up in, will I meet the expectations that are placed on me, even though they love what they do.
Hmm, hmm.
They still have to be accountable to a supervisor or a boss or a
Right,
coworker, a partner, business partner. And so even if they deliciously enjoy what they do, it's holy cow. I have so many things to do this week. Will I
right,
meet them all? Will I be productive?
right, right.
So
Well,
it's,
and as you know, we began sharing last week that today was my last day in the pulpit, and I was sharing with Kathy before we started the show tonight that my life for 22 years, well, having three sons, first my life was governed by the scholastic year and doing that whole morning routine. And then for the past 22 years, in addition, because there was crossover with my third son, in addition, it was identifying myself as the role that I played. And even though it didn't require me to get up early on Monday morning, there was a lot of responsibilities that go with what you do when you're the lead consciousness of a spiritual community. And so right now, there's this wide open space, and even the space without the requirements, the space without this is what I have to do by when, the unknown, that they call that the liminal, right? That liminal space, the
yes.
space when the caterpillar has liquefied itself inside the chrysalis. So now I'm moving into this liquid, unformed, unknown place. And so my kind of scaries right now are very specifically for that, and for that reason. So So I guess even though I'm kind of excited about seeing what the world's going to look like, I can feel that like, well, what am I supposed to do tomorrow?
Hmm.
Kind
Hmm.
of feeling. So interesting.
Yeah, and I think for anyone who has ever observed the what is it called, the metamorphosis of
Mm,
a butterfly, that stage is very challenging, right? It doesn't look all that pretty
yeah.
with the liquefaction and the darkening, and but that butterfly, or that what's it called at that
Chrysalis.
stage, the chrysalis,
Chrysalis.
hangs in there, hangs
Yeah.
in there with such determination and innate trust, I think, knowing that it will evolve into this other thing, into this
You know,
beautiful, glorious creature, right?
yeah, and it's such a over, I mean, it can appear to be overused, but truth be told, there's nothing, I don't know of a better metaphor for coming, from coming from the traditional or the conditioned or the expectation, and determining that I want life to be different, and then trusting. I mean, that liminal space is so unknown. And, it is a place of, you're to me, you're intonating, I don't know, you're implying that it takes faith, and it does. It takes faith that I'm going to come out on the other side. And I think that some people struggle if they're not grounded with a spiritual practice, with a community that supports them. I think that becomes a really challenging place.
Well, yes. And as we touched on last week, the unknown, the
Mm,
unknown is so fraught for so many of us with trepidation and anxiety, even when it's exciting.
right,
It's like the
right.
unknown. The unknown is just the unknown, and where there is unknown, by definition, there is almost a lack of control as we know it. You knew what your routine was. You knew
Yeah,
what you did Monday through Saturday night to prepare for your
yeah.
Sunday celebration, right? And even though this choice is yours to make, and you made it, and you're excited about it, still, that gap of what is it going to be like,
Mhm, mhm.
can't predict. And that can bring a little kind of something to the
Yeah,
stomach. I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. Do you get it in your body, Michelle, when you feel like you say, well, what's tomorrow morning going to be like, or next weekend, next Sunday? Do you feel that in your body at all, or no? Because I get it right in the tummy, a little twinge right here.
Yeah, I'm very clear what you're asking me. I'm not, um I don't think so. I think for me, it comes more into my upper body, and more where the breath resides. And yeah, I think it's for me. I think it's more of an upper body thing, um, because we were saying last week. I enjoy change. I I get bored easy. I get bored. So I like things changing up and being different. I like being creative and such. So but this is different. So yeah, this is different. And even though 90% of me feels I'm fine, I'm going to be fine. I know that life is going to work. I know, because I'm not, I'm retiring from the pulpit, but I'm not retiring.
Right.
So I have to make sure that I have some activity. But there is a big unknown. And I haven't flown on my own for a while. I
Mm.
haven't flown. And it's funny because if when I used to send my third son, he had a friend who lived down in Texas. And when he first moved away, for the first 2-3 years maybe, they would gift him with a ticket, and we would fly him to Texas. But what happens is, on this side, I'd be a mess. I want you to know I'd be a mess. I'd be no, I wasn't afraid of him flying. It was just that letting go of my son into the unknown, because I'd be taking him by the hand, and they have a flight attendant who is assigned for the welfare of my son. So then they basically, if they're little enough, they take him by the hand. They make sure he's in the seat. Of course, they get the captain's wings and they get all that stuff, and then they meet him. And so, but I don't have someone walking me down the tarmac to where I'm going. And it's this, and I think that's not unusual.
Not
Change
at
for
all.
some people when they don't know quite what to hold on to. So, and I know after we do our commercial break later, we're going to talk about some of the things you can do, because there
Yes.
are options. Remember, well, in this show, we're never here just to talk about what is scary or what's not working, but to talk to you about what you can do, because we want to leave the impression in your mind that you're never at the mercy of the situation. You're not. There are options. There are mental, emotional, psychological options and tools. But right
Yes.
now, I wouldn't mind if someone was holding my hand, and
Yes.
taking me down there and say, I've been this way. Come on, let's go, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But you see, I think from a psychological point of view, I think it's so important to be in touch with what you're experiencing
mm, mm-hmm,
because, who likes discomfort? I know I don't. And I don't know anyone who relishes the thought of being uncomfortable. So
mm-hmm,
what do we do much of the time? Or what do we do until we get on top of this and discipline ourselves? We often avoid the feeling
mm-hmm,
of discomfort. So we distract ourselves. Maybe
right,
we'll eat something or drink something or buy something or go into mindless activity. Now, that's okay once in a while, of course. None
right,
of these things is bad, in and of itself. But if we go to distraction to get away from the discomfort, then we're not doing what you're doing, which is leaning into it with a type of curiosity and interest and willingness to see where your liquidy thing ends up.
right, right.
So I think if we can impart anything to our wonderful audience, it is that, and it's a paradox. It's a paradox.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Discomfort tends to dissipate the more you lean into it, not the less. The more you lean into it and understand it, the more it dissolves or you get on top of it.
mm-hmm.
Running
Yep.
away from it is a recipe for not only holding on to it, but having it magnify.
Yeah. And spiritually, I would say that when we face it, if we are spiritually grounded and connected, when we face it and we look at it, it's really like looking for that monster under the bed. Because whenever you look under the bed, it's not there. But it's being willing to face it. And
And
you're
what do
right.
you have to do? Right?
Yeah.
You have to help the child remove her hands from her
Yeah.
eyes.
Because it can't hold out. Like when you bring something into the light, it can't be maintained.
Can't. It thrives in the darkness and
Yeah.
in the hiddenness.
Yeah.
So exposing it to the light, and in this case, to consciousness, to insight.
Mm-hmm.
Exposing it is how you actually
Yeah.
gain mastery over it. Isn't
Which
that interesting? It's like
yeah.
so counterintuitive, right?
Well, yeah, it's funny because there are a lot of counterintuitive things about keeping us safe. I can remember when back in the day when we were ski all the time, and we were on this Copper Mountain vacation, and the instructor, we were a Club Med, and we were all put in groups, and the instructor, this sweet man from Belgium, oh my God, could that guy ski? And he said, "Well, what one other thing? What have we not done?" It was near the end of the week. What have we have not done that you want to do? And I kind of went like this, and I'm like, I'm terrified of the steep. I'm terrified. He says, okay, now mind you, I'm saying that, but the whole group now has to go. So he takes us to the top of this short but steep slope.
Mm-hmm.
He told us exactly what to do. He told us the exact mechanics. And the mechanics are, instead of being afraid and trying to hold on to the mountain, you actually have to lean forward. Your front of your body leans forward, which causes your skis and the back of your body to then be more secure on the slope. And it all sounded perfectly fine. And then everybody,
No, I
there
don't
was a
know.
group of, maybe there was 8 of us, and one person went and another person went. He demonstrated it. I could see them down there. It was a short slope. And then I decided I was going last. And I could feel like I can remember the terror in it was irrational, because if I had fallen, I would have rolled. I don't think I would have even broken anything. But I could still feel the terror of that moment when I looked and I just said I was going to do it. Well, as long as I followed the mechanics that he was suggesting, I was fine. And the mechanics were counterintuitive. I had to lean away from the mountain, not grab hold of it. They call it like a shape of a banana. And I was fine. And I got down to the bottom and they cheered and I sobbed like a baby because I
Mm,
came to the other side. But I was terrified. I was really terrified. For me, it was just so incredibly scary. So that's the thing about stuff that's counterintuitive,
mhm,
that sometimes
mhm.
you can't trust your old ways of doing things. You can't trust your conditioned self, because your conditioned self has limitations, and that's a fact.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
So yeah,
And
it is.
and yeah, no, I think one of the things that that example illustrates is, um, you talked about the mechanics, and when you have a trusted advisor,
Mm, yeah.
that
Yes.
goes a long way.
Yeah.
A trusted advisor who hears you, who gets you, who says, "I know how you feel. I know this is scary. Here's what you do. I've got your back,"
Mm.
and walks you through. You know, that's kind of what we do in our work, isn't it?
Well, in our work, and to me, I think it was evidence today. With the last, for the audience, for the listeners, today there was a celebration. It was the last celebration of me as the spiritual leader of the community, and some of these people have really learned to lean on each other. The truth is, at some point, I'm just kind of the extra there because people have created such bonds, which is so lovely. And and so whether it's a trusted advisor, a trusted community, a trusted group, people who, right, people who you can, when you tell them that, they don't want to fix you. They'll just say, yeah, we got you. If you
Mhm.
fall, we got you, which is, that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to have that kind of community. So, we should take, just want to do a little commercial break.
I think it's a
For
good time.
Yeah, okay. And so before I click on the video for you listeners, it's very important that I say to you that this community has grown. I don't even, when Kathy and I were reintroduced to the organization, the amount of programming, the amount of programming is enormous. The amount of volunteers that it takes to get you here, and I'm happy to say that Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski is he's in
Kenya.
he is in Kenya, right? I couldn't remember, it was Kenya. Yeah, it's in Kenya right now for the event. There's an event going on over there. So we'll send him a lot of love. He left a few days ago. What an exciting thing to be there and bring new thought there. And of course, here on the ground, he has a team of people, including his wife, who keep it all together. But so please, even if it's only on occasion, sign up to donate money to this worthy organization, because on this show and all the new thought shows, what you're not going to hear is, oh, ain't it awful. You're not going to hear what's going, that the world is going to hell in a handbasket. You're not going to hear what's wrong and what's not okay. You're going to be lifted and inspired and encouraged with all of the shows. All of it is about, let's lift our vibration. So please, honor them with, giving to them. And I'm just going to play you a little video.
Yeah.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
So welcome back. I'm so glad you're still here. And so this is the part of the show where we want to take our attention, and I meant to say something to you before we left, take our attention from unpacking the subject into what can you do? Because not that everything should be solution based. I want to be clear. Sometimes it's just being present. Sometimes you just being present is all that is asked of you in working through many things in life. But sometimes there are psychological and spiritual practices so they help bring you present, and so that you can. I always think of it as water skiing. You're out on the ocean, and when you have skills, you can kind of navigate. You can kind of cross over the top of the waves, just like when you're water skiing. And it's important to have them and to have them in place. So we want to chat with you a little bit about what can you do if you experience the Sunday Scarries, if you have a little bit of anxiety, if there's some major changes going on in your world, like right now. What do you do about it? And I'm going to let Kathy start us off with some of that.
Yeah. Well, I hope the first half hour has conveyed that this experience is a normal experience. It's natural. You're not alone. Many people have it. And it's okay to have it. It's okay. Yeah. All right. That's number one. Now, in terms of practical steps, I'm going to offer a few. Michelle, I know you will also. But what I want to preface this by is that the tips that I'm going to share and the strategies all sound very simplistic. They're not really, highfalutin. They're not complicated. They're not all that intellectual. And one might be tempted to kind of poo-poo it.
Yes.
But actually, right, it's the small doable. We talked about a couple of weeks ago, make eye contact with people. The person at the 7-Eleven, make eye contact. You mentioned last week, drive home a different route or drive to work, or wherever you go, right? Not because that's such a big deal in and of itself, but you're exercising the muscle of doing things differently and breaking your routine. It's the muscle. So here are some muscle enhancers that I think you can try. I do these myself. Okay, one is a brain dump. What is a brain dump? A brain dump is where you take a pen and paper, and it's really important not to type this out, but to actually use the brain through the arm, through the pen, and write out as fast as you can everything that you're worried about for Monday morning. Why is that important? Because you're getting it out of the echo chamber of your head onto paper, and that can create a little more objectivity and a little more room. And you might find yourself saying, oh, I was so worried about that, but really that's manageable. I'll just go in, I'll meet the boss tomorrow morning and I'll tell her what I have to tell her. I mean, so it might look more doable on paper than it seemed in your head. The other thing about that is you're just kind of emptying yourself out of holding on to that energy internally. So brain dump, number one. Number two, visualize a different Monday. Oh, why should I do that? I've been going to work there for 8 years. Every Monday, it's the same thing. She's cranky. He's cranky. He barks at me. Okay. That may be true. That may be true. But to use your words, Michelle, we are not at the mercy of what
Mm.
goes on around us. So even though the boss is barking, we're not disputing that. How you meet up with that moment can make the difference. Get the jump on it. Try visualizing a different experience.
And
Oh,
that you
absolutely.
yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
you're saying visualizing. I guess the word that I mostly use in this moment is imagination, because what Kathy is suggesting, whatever you call it, what we're suggesting, actually, if you do it enough, if you do it so that the experiences, like you could feel it a little bit, it activates the brain. It activates the brain in a new way. And your brain does not know the difference between reality, imagined reality. So Kathy keeps trying to tell you these might sound simple and little, but they're huge in the way we shift our thinking, and the impact is great. The impact is great.
When I first learned that, um, and this dovetails into another step, I first learned that when I went to a workshop with a hypnotist, and she was talking about the powers of visualization and using your
Mhm.
imagination. And the point was, the brain cannot tell the difference between an imagined experience and a real experience. Okay, how could that be? Well, she demonstrated it this way. She said, imagine she said, close your eyes. And she said, imagine I hand each of you a lemon cut in half. So I give each of you a half lemon. What I want you to do with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine. Now, there was no lemon. Imagine bringing the lemon to your nose, inhale the aroma, suck on the lemon, get the pulp, spit out the pits, chew on the rind. Imagine, and what do you think was happening? We were all salivating. There was no lemon.
Right, yeah. But I could
How
see my face
powerful,
getting all
crunched
scrunched
up,
up.
all
Yeah.
sour. We were sour pusses. But that really drove home the point.
Yes.
The
Yes.
brain cannot tell the difference. So
Mhm.
if you visualize or imagine walking in and the boss, and you're already salivating from the lemon that you've created. You're already depressed, nervous, defensive, short-tempered. Your brain is starting to secrete cortisol and other stress-related chemicals, and
Right.
that's how you're showing up. And
Right.
by the way, we emit that kind of energy.
Yes, yes.
So the cranky boss, who, yes, cranky, may pick up on that energy
Mhm.
unconsciously and then get even crankier.
Yeah.
And you have no idea how you have actually unwittingly maybe participated. So change
I
your mindset,
yeah. I call
visualize
that what that's what you walked in the room with. That's how I refer to that. You walked in the room with it and you
with that
got what
whole thing going, that whole lemon meringue movie,
so
So
but I want to go back to skiing because it's funny. Back in I guess it was the 80s. Oh my God, that sounds so long ago. When we were learning to ski, a very good friend of mine, he introduced us to these NLP videotapes, folks. Remember videotapes? They had to put them in the
VHS.
yes, the VHS videotapes. And we had tapes that were for skiing moguls and skiing. I think it was mostly moguls that we watched. And it was nothing but watching somebody doing it perfectly. And you'd sit and you'd watch and you watch. And so that your muscle memory got created by the mental input, this repetitive input into your brain created a muscle memory so that when I did start skiing moguls, the impression of those videotapes left in me a sense of I know how to do this.
It's
It
fascinating.
actually improved, and this was back in the day. Because we had hypnosis. That's what we used to do in my world, and we would imagine ourselves skiing, and we would imagine ourselves being right, and that is what I had to do when my husband at the time said to me, "Do you want to learn how to ski?" And to be honest with you, I was a little scared. I was scared.
Mhm.
But then we would use that. And I came from being a complete novice to a fairly confident skier in a relatively short amount of time because I built it into my body from the visualization and the imagining, which
And
was
muscle memory is
yeah.
so powerful, and it goes beyond, or not beyond, it bypasses the rational brain.
Mm-hmm.
It is another, it's another track entirely.
Right, right.
So,
It's
so
why it's why you have to be careful about what here. I won't go on a. I won't get on a soapbox.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going
I'm
with
not.
this.
I'm going to resist it tonight. I'm going to resist it.
Just a
But
little
it,
bit though. Just get a little in because it's important.
okay, it's why I don't want anybody ever to watch television without the mute button. I don't care about normal commercials. Most of you are not going to run out and buy a Cadillac because there was a commercial. But what I'm concerned about is when you're not paying attention to the unconscious conditioning from pharmaceutical companies, because God bless them, that they are there when you need them. God bless them, but the fact is, they're invested in your poor health. And if you're unconscious, the messages about you. I mean, the fact that we allow pharmaceutical companies to sell directly to the public
Can't
should
believe
never.
it.
Yeah, it should never have been allowed. I'm so glad we're in agreement about this. But that's so protect yourself. Protect it by making sure, like when I'm home working during the day, I go on YouTube and I think I drive my husband crazy a little bit because I have my computer running for hours. And in the background, I have either oming, I have Reiki music, I have meditative music, and I let it run for hours so that wherever I go in the upstairs of my house, I hear this
Mm.
sweet, comforting sound. Take care of yourself. What Kathy is talking about, what we're talking about is make a plan for success. Plan for success. And these practices are part of that plan. And I know you have
Michelle,
more.
I mean, we could have a conversation on all the points you just made. They could be individual episodes. So important. Advertising, the unconscious messaging that gets in, this subliminal, uh, you know, um, mandates that hijack our brain. So we could. I mean, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I had another thought that came in, and it wants to fly out. Is it gonna fly out? Let me see what it was.
Well, I can remind you of a couple of other notes you had if that's helpful.
Do please.
You said you talked about creating a Sunday routine.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay,
That's
I'll
not
go
helping you
there.
get your thought back. It's
It
just
will. It will. Yes. Okay. A Sunday routine. Well, along with Sunday routine goes something that is going to sound like a big duh, Kathy. I can hear people saying that now, but good sleep, good
mm,
sleep, and along with good sleep, good hygiene. Oh, now I know what I was going to say.
good.
Um, let me just go back to that because you said something about being proactive. You know, I think that one of the reasons it's so easy to dismiss these strategies is because they sound so simple and you're like,
Yeah.
what good is that going to do? And most of the time we just wait for the scary feeling to go away on its own. But these steps are about taking action
Mhm.
to not be at the mercy of that,
Mhm.
not be at the mercy. So a good night's sleep, now I know for many people, easier said. Okay. But If you think about your sleep hygiene, and sleep hygiene refers to
I
that
don't know
period,
the term.
right? The period of time before bed where presumably one is preparing for bed.
Okay.
Okay, so sleep hygiene. Research tells us that being a bit ritualistic about bedtime actually helps to enhance
Hmm.
the, the probability of restorative sleep. So, do you just hang out on the couch until you fall asleep, and and then at 1 in the morning you pull yourself up and you know, maybe you're undressed for, dressed for bed, maybe you're not, and then you flop into. Okay, that's not really good sleep hygiene.
Hmm.
No judgment, but
Right.
whereas if you create, I'll be arbitrary about this. Let's say a half hour if you can. Now I know if you have young children, may not be that easy, but if you have the intention, you may be able to carve out time that will surprise you. And it's being very intentional about it. Let me,
But you just said something to the parents now. Like even with my youngest granddaughter now, you know, the lights get lowered, and that's her signal. And she gets water, and she gets her diaper changed, of course, because she's still in diapers. And then we go, and she picks out, 3 books. They're little books, so, and I let her pick them out. And then she wants to read them on mommy and daddy's bed. So we sit on the bed and we read the books. And then now it's different. It used to be I would sing to her and rock her. But when those books are done and I carry her in her room, she's ready to say goodnight and go down. So even so for our children and grandchildren, the routine is comforting. There's a, where a routine can all depend. See, this is
it
that
can
double.
go either way.
Right. It can make you unconscious if you're not consciously creating the routine. But when you consciously create the routine, you are setting yourself up for success.
That's the
No,
word, conscious,
con
mindful.
yeah, yeah.
So your granddaughter has at your hands good sleep hygiene. It's a ritual that gently transitions from your day, your busy day, to a time where you're entering a period of rest and restoration.
Mm.
And even if you're someone who doesn't immediately drift off to sleep, you've created mindfully an atmosphere. Okay. Now I mentioned the person who sleeps on the couch and goes to, turns off the news at 1. Okay, that's me. Okay, that's me. All right. Well, it used to be me. I caught on to sleep hygiene. And now the 20 minutes of taking off my makeup and, which I used to hate to do for some reason, but now I rather enjoy it because I'm bringing to bear this whole movement. It's
Mhm,
my
mhm.
movement with myself. It's me taking care of myself. It's me setting myself up, well, as you say, for success, to have a better night and a better morning.
Right, right.
So taking off the makeup, getting the water, I take a little pill in the morning for something and I enjoy taking it out. But, instead of emptying the bottle, half asleep. So I take care. I take care of myself nowadays lovingly.
Right.
So sleep hygiene, I make sure the bed linens are, as nice as I could have them. I make sure my pajamas, I'm wearing the same pajamas since the beginning of COVID, but I love them. And they're all pilled and everything, but I take care of them and I love the way they smell and I enjoy that. And so it's all a part of
And so I want to
honoring.
I'm smiling because you keep saying things that bring back memories. Do you ever remember back in the day, we used to have under pillow speakers. We would we had hypnosis tapes, and we would have this under pillow speaker that would go in under our pillow at night when we'd sleep, and we would play things that would repeat themselves throughout the night, believe it or not. Now for me, I haven't seen one of those in decades, but one of the things I will do, if I love listen to audible books, if there's something I'm just listening for inspiration, or I'll put it on a timer. I'll guess, maybe it'll take me 15 minutes to fall asleep tonight. I love listening to somebody read something. But maybe for you, it's music. I think I've mentioned this before. For 2 years, I went to sleep on Krishna Das, listening to that chanting every night. And then I would wake up to it. So manage what enters your brain right before you sleep. I know I've said this before, but you could miss it, or you could just not pay attention to it, but it is critical, because as your mind slows down, it gets into the theta state, and that theta state is way more receptive than when you're walking around in your conscious state. And you want to make sure that you only get messages that feel good, that feel wonderful, that feel rewarding. Don't take that time, that brain, the brain waves at that point. Don't take those for granted. Not for anything. Not for anything.
That's right. That's right. We can use our mind and use these ideas to work with our brain. If we leave it up to the brain is at the mercy of the environment. The brain is at the mercy of the mind movies we create. The brain is at the mercy of the lemon. Use our minds to work with or to train our brains
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and our bodies with the muscle memory.
And not to go into a dark place, but I'm listening to us, and this conversation sounds, I'm sorry to say, but we're so privileged. We're having this very privileged conversation.
Listen.
Like, we're sitting in a beautiful home. We have a
The
bed.
linens, bed linens, and yes,
I'm
absolutely.
like, oh my God. So there
I
might
know.
be somebody here listening, or listen later on, that says, I'm happy if I go to bed without getting beaten at night. So I want to always speak that into the room, because I know that exists. And for you, not some of what has been said is still very usable, because our hope and dream for the person who's not having these great loving experiences is that if you use what Kathy's saying and what I'm suggesting about imagination, visualization, and taking care of it, you will build up in your mind an intolerance to stay still for what's not kind. See, right now you might not know that you deserve to not be at the mercy of that. But if you use your imagination and your visualization to see yourself as safe, to see yourself as worthy, to see yourself as somebody who deserves to be treated with loving kid gloves, then what's going to happen is you're going to change the consciousness, build up an intolerance for abuse, and you'll guide yourself in a different way, and you won't stay still for it as long. I just had to say that. It slapped me in the face as I was listening to the two of us going, oh, this is so great, life is good.
No,
But
really.
not we happen to be blessed. We're blessed. You're blessed. I'm blessed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Sorry to
I
be dark,
yes,
but
no. I'm so glad that you know, because look, our scope here is very wide, and we don't want to come across that everybody is in this, you know,
yeah.
happy state. So you're thank you for that.
Oh, it's my
Yeah,
sensitivities. It's always there. It's always
yeah,
right under the surface.
yeah.
You also mentioned before about creating a Sunday project.
Yes. When we close tonight, I'm going to go and put together a couple of kitchen chairs that I bought, and not that I'm necessarily in the mood to do that, but that's part of my kind of transitioning from being kind of a slug over the weekend. I mean, I had a fantastic weekend because I love my sluggy time, and I loved being with you this morning at your celebration. It was really one of the most heart-opening experiences I've ever participated in. So it was a wonderful weekend. But as I go into the week, I have a busy week. I have a couple of personal things, and I have a little stress in the corners about a couple of things. And so rather than go from slug to my work week, I'm going to engage my brain by trying to read, these instructions that I've had items from this company before. They're impossible to figure out. But so that's how I'm going to engage my brain, by having a little bit of a project to do. So for some people, it could be arts and crafts, or it could be making lunch.
I was just going to show you. I don't have my current ones here, but my drawing. This is my Zen tackling.
You see?
So now at night, at the end of the night, even if I'm in front of a TV, I sit and for hours I doodle. And I just, oh man, I get rid. And often I'm so involved in this, I shut the television off and I listen to one of my books on Audible, or I listen to the music on the computer, and I sit and I just draw. Boy, does that make for some good sleep. It's exactly what you're talking about. But to me, for putting stuff together, my future daughter-in-law is queen of putting IKEA together. So if I need something put together, I'll call her. But
I may have to call her. With these chairs. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. One other thing. It seems so obvious, but movement is so important. Not right before bed. I wouldn't recommend exercising near bedtime, but movement and physicality is a natural antidepressant, and it's a good way to discharge anxiety. So remember that, even a little bit of this. I mean, depending upon your love or disdain for exercise, move your body a little bit.
Yeah. And from the spiritual perspective, if you have no experience meditating, download an app. You can download Calm. I think they charge for that now. YouTube has thousands upon thousands of
from brief, very brief to very long, right?
Yeah.
So something for everyone.
Yes. So meditation before you sleep. And I'm going to say the P word, prayer, reading something spiritual again, because to put your mind in that beautifully receptive place. But meditation will slow you down. And I'm not a yoga girl. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that, but I do know that while you're saying not necessarily, active physical stuff, but yoga would be a lovely way for you to slow your body down. But the impression we need to leave on you here, though, is the consistent. The routine must be consistent. It's just like in my office here, there's my meditation chair, and your body will know, so that, and I love this particular incense that I buy, the Nagchampa Common. When I smell that incense, that says to me, I'm going in. So when you create the routine, you won't, over a while, you'll have to do it for a period so that it becomes familiar, but then you could depend upon that consistency to bring you to calm. And if you're struggling, find a friend, a prayer partner, an accountability partner, not someone who go into, oh, it's awful, but someone who'll say, okay, what do you need to let go of so you can go to sleep? Even if you make a phone call with that part, like after the show, which is, I know it's 10 o'clock, it's not that late, but if you were still having that feeling, someone you could call up with an agreement in advance, can we debrief before we go to bed tonight? And if that were your routine, you could then look forward to it. Look forward to, this being part of your thing, and then a phone call, and then all the practices that Kathy has offered you here tonight. So we've given you a lot of food for thought tonight. And I want to take a moment just to just to say that, this is Kathy's book that's going across the banner here. If you want to get her book on Amazon, you'll find it there, Unmasked. And you can contact her here at catherineduca.com. And for me,
Where can people find you, Michelle?
Yep, right there. The Planned Happiness Institute. Soon that will be just Michelle Wadley. We're going to be doing a whole new thing. But at the moment, wait, how do I get rid of the other one? Otherwise, we're going to have all these banners. Oh, I'm out of control. That's pretty funny. All right, I don't know how to get rid of it. I'll learn. There it is. Oh, there we go.
You got it right there.
So thank you for being with us here tonight, and we really mean it. If there is a subject that you would like to, I'm just
hear us
looking.
Talk about.
Yeah, if there's a subject you would like to talk to us about, please reach out to us. You can put it in the chat. We'll bring it up next time. You could bring it up while we're chatting. The first show the first couple, and Kathy's wife was a great one to prompt, fascinating things. We will bring it into the show because the show's for you. It's for you. I mean, we're already in these practices. We want to share them. We want your life to be better because you listened in, right?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And if any of our listeners tonight or on the replay put these strategies into practice, please let us know how it went for you. Yeah, let us know if it made a difference. Let us know if it went smoothly or if there was a hiccup, or just let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. So we thank you for being here tonight. We really do. We will be back here next Sunday, and with another. I'm not even sure what the subject will be at the moment. I don't remember where we are for next week, but we'll be back here with more strategies, more conversation, and more love. So yes. We honor you. We bless you. We thank you for being here. Have a wonderful sleep soundly. Sleep soundly. Yes. All right. Much love all. See you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.